And so if I see this characteristic in myself that I consider bad, how do I come to terms with it without continuing to promote it? Because if I am vindictive, if I go and say, oh, I'm naturally vindictive, I'm going to do more of that. I'm guessing that's not necessarily the greatest way forward. So how do you come to terms with it, but also maybe not go into it? Or do you go into it? You know what I mean?
I have all the traits. You support my values, I'm nice as a pussycat. You challenge my values, I can be mean as a tiger.
Right.
I can be very humble and I can be very arrogant. I've been both. If I look honestly and do a video recording of me with a drone looking over me for 24 hours a day for a 3-month period, I'll find them all. I'll find kind, cruel, nice, mean, etc. And even those labels are incomplete awarenesses. If somebody is nice to somebody and, quote, nice and generous, they could be making them dependent, obligated, less resourceful, less driven, and kind of feel like they've got to go and compensate, and they lose their drive some cases. So you keep them in juvenile dependency by making it generous and quote, kind. And on the other side, so that very kind and generous is actually robbing them and basically stingy of them being able to be on their own and be capable of standing on their own 2 feet. So the inside the kind is cruel. It's like the yin and the yang. Right. Inside the cruel is kind. It's a Taoist understanding. And sometimes you're tough on them and you're mean and stingy. No, I won't take care of that. You have to figure it out yourself. They become resourceful and they become more precociously independent. They become more empowered. So is that mean nice or nice mean? So the polarities of judgments are actually inseparable. Our amygdala, which is our survival subcortical area of our brain, assigns valency, which is positive negative assignment labels to perceptions or events. And then we store that in hippocampus as episodic memories that we label to be positive or negative, prey or predator. And then we go around and we assume that those are true, but they're actually incomplete awarenesses. They're subjective biases that are distortions with false positives and false negatives. So we basically have this assumption about these things that are positive or negative, but turns out that the very thing you think is a positive has downsides. Right. Anybody who's been out on a date with somebody then thinks, oh, this is amazing, I'm infatuated. Weeks later, they discover, ooh, it's not what I thought. Right. And the same thing over on the things you think are terrific. You get this new house, you think, oh, I'm so happy. And then 6 months to a year later, you go, friggin' house, it's costing me a fortune. It's taken up all my time. So you realize that there's an inseparability of these polarities. Heraclitus called it the unity of opposites. And Hegel called it the synthesis of the pairs of opposites. When we actually realize that there's neither, and that we had imposed on it a judgment because of the moral hypocrisies we've been indoctrinated, we've labeled it. We're holding ourselves back because anything that's polarized and valent occupies space and time in our mind and creates intrusive thoughts, and we have difficulty sleeping. Insomnia is a byproduct of the labels we project onto things that are incomplete as a reminder and a feedback to let us know we're judging and not loving our environment.
There's a lot of people out there that can't sleep right now. And they're thinking, there's no way, Dr. John, that the reason I can't sleep is because I've got unresolved issues in my amygdala. But that's what it is. Because what happens is the amygdala, when it sees prey and it assigns positive without negative, and it now creates an impulse to seek and to consume, it has to create a false positive in order to accelerate the adrenaline to capture the prey. So when it does, it accelerates and dramatizes the emotion and subjectively biases the interpretation of the event or perception. And that causes an alertness in order to capture the prey and grab the prey so we don't starve. And the same thing with a predator. So if we see something, we'll see way more negatives than positives, and we'll have a false positive on the negatives and a false negative on the positives. We'll distort it. We'll get our adrenaline going so we can run and get away from the predator. So anything that supports our values or challenges our values represents prey and predator on our mind. And the more polarized it is, the more insomnic we become, because those intrusive thoughts are on alert so we don't starve and we don't get eaten.
Peter Thiel took $500,000 and turned it into $1 billion using the exact same techniques we're using inside the investment club. He met a CEO, his name was Zuckerberg. He pitched him the deal and he said, okay, I'll give you $500,000. Mark went public and sold the shares to people like you. Well, what happened to Peter? Well, he exited and got a 2,300x return. The wealthy invest in early stage companies, folks. The public markets are for suckers. It's a rigged game. By the way, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-sale tokens. This is Solana. Does anybody know this chain? They sold pre-sale tokens for 4 cents. And you can see the date on there, April 5th, 2018. Look at Solana today, folks. That thing's up over 1,000x. The media and Wall Street and all these hype people get you to buy the top. Meanwhile, they put their clients in at the bottom and they use you for liquidity to make their clients rich. You can play this same game. You just have to have the financial education and the deal flow. That's it.
And so it's a basic survival. There's only 2 forms of stress that people face in their life. The perception of loss of that which they seek, and the perception of gain of that which they try to avoid. The perception of starvation and being eaten to the brain. Right. So anything that supports our challenges and values back inside the brain, in this subcortical area of the brain, is registered as prey and predator. And so we literally have these responses, and insomnia is a survival response to make sure that we don't miss out on food and get eaten. So insomnia is basically a feedback to let us know that we're highly polarized in our judgment. We're in an absolute state instead of a relative state. And we're not seeing both sides simultaneously. We're seeing one side without the other side, to which we're blind. And therefore, we're trying to avoid a predator and seek a prey, and so we're under alert.
And so if you never try to resolve those things, if you never go back...
They stay in your consciousness until they're resolved.
And
restored.
Do they naturally get resolved in people's lives, or no?
If you have events in life that you make new associations with what you thought was terrible and you find the blessings out of it, or the other side, we find the downsides of what we're infatuated, we can neutralize that and strengthen our intuitive capacities to see the other side that we're ignoring, that we're unconscious of. But in most cases, they get dramatized. They get compound interest. Anxiety disorder is compound interest on the original charge. Things that remind you of that, promote it, right? Dramatize it, compound it. So you might say that anxiety is nothing but compound interest added to an event that you saw that was imbalanced, that was negative. And ecstatic fantasies that hook people into new relationships over and over again is a compounding on the positive side. Both of them are distractions. Both of them are philic and phobic. Both of them are insomniac stimulating, and they are intrusive thoughts that run our mind. If you go into deep meditation, while you go into the meditation, you can sit there and just go into meditation. You'll hear all this noise in the brain. All that noise in the brain is the unconscious information that we're not paying attention to, trying to meet up with the conscious to make us fully conscious to see both sides simultaneously that's stored in the hippocampus.
Will meditation resolve some of that?
In some cases, meditation, if it's integrative and not escape, some people use meditation to escape an event and try to dissociate from it. And some people use meditation as an integrative force to actually integrate and look for the opposite and balance and integrate the brain. The medial prefrontal cortex, the ventral medial prefrontal cortex, is designed to integrate. It's designed to create an integration of pairs of opposites in the brain. The amygdala is designed to separate them, to make sure you get to avoid predator and seek prey. The executive center is designed to integrate them and bring them back to wholeness. Wilhelm Wundt, father of experimental psychology in 1897, showed very clearly that there's simultaneous contrast that activate the medial prefrontal cortex and sequential contrast. And sequential contrast, I see the positive, later I see the negative. I see the negative, later I see the positive. There's a time gap between it. And that creates an arrow of time with memory and imagination, causes entropy and aging. And so our entropy and our aging process is nothing more than the accumulation of these subconsciously stored judgments that are intrusive, that are causing, in a sense, phobias and philias in our minds. And the second we see both sides simultaneously, we liberate ourselves from it. The intrusive thoughts are gone. We have restful sleep. We're present, and the executive center comes online, mitigates the risks of the negative side, calms down the fantasy, and allows us to have an objective state of mind where we're empowered.
Right.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.